It starts when you're born, literally. Screaming infant girls receive dresses and come home to a nursery painted pink. Boys wear shirts with miniature footballs on them and are welcomed into the world by the color blue. I would love to live in a society that does not have any concept of gender, but we don't. We're assigned a gender role the instant we're born. And even though our society is largely starting to change how we view gender, the traditional ideas of boy and girl largely still exist. Growing up, I could not have had two more different sisters. While my younger one loved styling her hair and pre-planning her outfits for the month, my older one wasn't interested in any of that. Seeing her in a dress was as rare as a Bigfoot sighting, and from her evident discomfort, you could tell she'd been forced to wear it. From the way my family treated my sister, subtly asking if she wanted to buy more girly clothes or put on a bit of mascara, I was conditioned to believe that the way my sister was living her life as a girl was wrong. I looked at my younger sister. I looked at my Barbies. I looked at the girls on Disney Channel, and what I found was that girls need to look pretty. They need to have long, flowing hair, lipstick, nail polish skirts. When I saw my older sister looking more like a boy than these girls did, I was ashamed. I told myself, she can't look like a boy. She's not a boy. By the time I was 10 or 11, I had started growing into my shy and introverted personality, and the insecurity that came along with this convinced me I didn't have enough friends. I figured that being popular and looking like the popular girls was the key to my unhappiness. To fix this, I looked to my younger sister. When she started shopping at the mall, I started shopping there. When she tried on makeup for the first time, I followed suit. She was my femininity role model. For years, I wore the same clothes as everyone else and grew my hair out, telling myself that I was happy, that I was blending in. But on the inside, I hated how I looked. I felt the incessant urge to rip my long hair out and buy all new clothes to fit my more masculine self-image so that I could finally look in the mirror and be happy with what I saw. I tried to suppress these feelings, and it worked for a while, but gradually it all started to feel wrong. The summer before my freshman year of high school, my older sister came home from college, and I had no idea that she was utterly and completely going to change my world. I still remember when and where I was when she introduced me to a TV show called RuPaul's Drag Race, which has incidentally, in the last 4 years I've been watching it, grown to almost mainstream popularity, which is revolutionary for a show of its kind. When my older sister told me that she wanted to introduce me to a TV show about drag queens, which are traditionally men dressing as women on stage, I was extremely apprehensive. But the more I watched it, the more I was captivated by their creativity and artistry, and I was completely hooked. This TV show introduced me to the idea that gender is way more complicated than simply male and female. It didn't happen suddenly, but I started to notice that in the world around me, there are so many people that do not identify with their gender at birth. Not only did I start following the drag queens I saw on the show, I also found celebrities like Ruby Rose and Jeffree Star that identify neither as completely male or completely female, as well as transgender ones such as Laverne Cox. And it was around this time that I had this aha moment, that this struggle with gender wasn't just happening on the celebrity platform, it was happening within me. It dawned on me that my entire life, I had been so busy pursuing the concept of the ideal woman that in the meantime, I had forgotten to listen to myself. And when I started focusing my attention internally, I found out that while I love doing my makeup and prefer being called she, I am much more myself with more masculine clothes and with shaved hair rather than a braid going down my back. When I finally started to listening to myself and looking the way I wanted to, I felt so much happier and so much more natural, like I was always meant to look that way. I wish more than anything I could tell my younger self that there are so many people in this world that do not comply with the simple male and female identities, and that not wanting to look like the traditional male or female is okay. It would have saved me so much confusion and pain, and I could have been there for my older sister who, like many gender non-conforming people, faced all sorts of bullying for choosing to be who she really was. When I was younger, I had assumed that the problem was in my sister and me, that we were the weird ones. But in reality, the problem is rooted much deeper in how rigidly our society views gender. So, what can you do to help fix this problem? Thankfully, as our society is becoming much more open to the different ways that gender can be expressed, it is important to educate yourself. A person that identifies with their gender at birth is considered cisgender, and a person that identifies with the opposite gender at birth is considered transgender. Between cis and transgender, there are many different gender identities, such as genderqueer, gender fluid, and androgynous, which consider themselves in the realm between male and female. There are 3 different pronouns that a person can traditionally go by. While he and she are the traditional male and female terms, a person can also choose to go by they if they prefer a more gender-neutral term. And contrary to popular belief, gender identity and sexual identity have absolutely nothing to do with each other. Simply put, sexual identity is who you are attracted to, and gender identity is who you are. Keep in mind, you do not have to be an expert in all the ins and outs of gender and all the different gender identities that exist. When it comes to gender, the vital element is respect. If a person asks you to call them by a certain name or pronoun, please do so without question. And if you meet someone that you're not sure of their gender, it never hurts to respectfully ask. And I mean respectfully. Never should you ever say, "Are you a boy or a girl?" Believe it or not, that is considered extremely offensive. Instead, you can ask, "What gender pronouns do you prefer to be called by?" To give you an idea what transgender and gender nonconforming people face every day in our society, according to the National Transgender Center for Equality, 41% of them cannot get their preferred gender changed on their IDs, 57% were rejected by their families, 19% have either experienced homelessness or refused medical care, and the most shocking one, 47% of them have attempted suicide, which is 27 times higher than the average population. In a society where trans and gender nonconforming people are treated like they're less than human, from insulting everyday interactions to the legislation passed at our highest levels of government, treating these people with respect will remind them that there are so many people in the world that have acceptance and love for them open in their hearts. By sharing my personal story with all of you, I hope I can help you sympathize with transgender and gender nonconforming people, or maybe even embrace those qualities in yourself and to treat them like any other person that you meet and with respect. Opening yourself up to all the different ways that gender can be expressed will make you a much more loving and open person. And I firmly believe a society that accepts people of all genders is on the right side of history. But above all, don't let gender define you or anyone else, because at the end of the day, we're not just a gender, we're people. Thank you.